Welcome in to another episode of the My Two Bits Gators Football Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, joined as always by my other host, Mr. Randy. I say that a little exaggerated because we are coming to you on this Monday night after a win, and I don't think either one of us thought we were going to be doing that. So, how you doing, Randy? How you feeling? How's Gainesville?
I was going to say, I like the ramp up there in the voice, much anticipated. Um, it, this is what I call a scratch your head Monday. We didn't expect it. We liked what the outcome was. We're not sure what's going to happen moving forward, but we're just going to stay in the moment and like it.
Yeah. Yeah, and how many scratch your head Mondays have we had now during this season for one reason or another? I could make the argument that really every week for one reason or another has been a scratch your head Monday, except maybe week one. But even that, in a way, when we had, what was it, 7 tackles for loss or even more than that against LIU? Like, what was I was up there and we were going, what? Like, huh? there was even stuff in that game that we were like, what's happening? Like, so correct. Yeah, this team will get you to do that. But I think obviously more good than bad in this one for sure, which is nice. So we'll get to talk about it. With that, let's get things rolling. As always, our intro will consist of our mission, our accuracy disclaimer, our vision, and our agenda. Our mission is to provide factual analysis of all things Florida Gator football. Our accuracy disclaimer is that our information will be accurate to the best of our possible ability. We will cite our sources whenever we use them, and all statistical data comes from either ESPN or stats.ncaa.org, and recruiting data comes from on3.com. Our vision is to have unfiltered conversation around the product on the field, as well as recruiting and overall coaching decisions. Our analysis will be based on review of film, and while we will express opinion, that opinion should always be based in some form of fact. We will also evaluate strategy and tactics and discuss observation of player personnel decisions, as well as on the field execution. One of these days, I'm going to actually memorize that, and that'll be cool. So as always, our agenda this evening for the full game pods is going to be our Oh My section. We're going to go through the exciting plays from the game, and man, there were a lot. This was challenging this week to come up with what we were going to use for these. I did not cheat here. I cheated on Saturday when we did a rapid reaction for impact play of the game. I did not cheat here. I know, but I didn't cheat here. Maybe you did. We'll find out. But anyway, so then we'll go through the offense in the Chomp segment. We will then talk about defense in Gatorbait. We will then talk about our gripes from the game, which there will still quite a few, unfortunately, in Visor Throw, even though we won. We'll then talk recruiting in the Hatchling segment, talk about culture in Pride of the Sunshine, do an officiating review and move back, you suck. And then we will wrap things up and take a look at where we go from here, play some keep it or pitch it for Florida West. That's right, Florida West. We do not call them by their actual name because all they like to do is take players from our team and coaches, so we call them Florida West. If you don't know our opponent this week, it is Texas A&M. That's the only time I'm going to say their name on this pod, but they are forever now known as Florida West. And then we'll wrap up with the Sims results from NCAA 26. Very interesting in that regard. We'll get there later and sign off from there. So with that, Randy, would you please get us started with some very exciting plays from this game in the Oh My section?
That is a Roger. All right, B. So, believe it or not, I did not cheat. I wrote down everything that I saw. I had a lot that I wrote down that I saw that I liked. It was really hard to narrow this down. It took me a good solid at least 10, 12 minutes to narrow it down. But this is what I've narrowed it down to. I'm sure you might have one that's similar, maybe two, at least one.
Probably at least one, probably two, maybe all three. We'll see.
We'll see. All right. First one, Spirito punt block for a safety. Man, I was so happy to see this play happen from a walk-on kid to a scholarship player, making the most of his opportunity wearing the orange and blue. So happy for this kid. Folks, in case you're wondering, the last punt block, November 10th, 2012.
Wow. 13 years. Holy cow.
By one of the most unique names in Florida Gators history, Luchez Purifoy.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, blocked a punt there against Louisiana, picked up by Jelani Jenkins, ran in for a touchdown to put us up before the game expired. So Man, Spirito, great play. Just came in with a nice little jab step, thought he was going to be blocked, and guess what? The seas parted, opened up, great opportunity, hands extended, did not touch the kicker. Ooh, technique, chef's kiss, well done. Next up, 60-yard bomb to VB3. The concentration, the hands, the high point, another one for the highlight reel for VB3 in his young career. This one was unique because obviously VB3 was not the first target. He looked left, he had Sturdivant, Wilson was coming across, and he said, you know what? I've got time, I've got protection, I feel comfortable. Let her rip, and he did. Largest explosive in the game, phenomenal pass. Love the way that VB3 turned around. Eyes were huge, wide-eyed, hands up tight. Didn't even need the stickums on the gloves. But boy, VB3 for his size, yeah, we know Wilson's a little bit bigger and he's on the smaller side, but he makes up for it in the shiftiness, makes up for it in the quickness, and his hands are still very solid, as noted by the week 1 catch against LIU. So there's that.
Yeah,
and
you
then
can say that.
And then my last one on 3rd and 1, Lagway to Dallas Wilson, breaking several tackles on his way to a 55-yard touchdown. In addition to that, a great piece of footwork to get the corner into the ground. I don't care what they say. Yeah, reviewable PI. No, I'm sorry. The corner tripped, got some of the turf. Turf Monster got a little bit of his lace, whatever, lost his balance. He went down. Nice try to flail your arms, try to get the acting job in there. No dice. Wilson was gone. The footwork, the 360, oh my goodness, to stay in bounds, upright, balanced, demonstrative. I mean, the frame at 6'3.5", 6'4", right? Like, I know we saw him in the spring game. And he goes, okay, he can be a monster, right? But it's the spring game. He's playing against his boys. I don't care if it's the first team, whatever. He's going to show out a little bit, right? But if this was his first game and wearing the orange and blue, and that's what he does, and then an honorable mention I'll throw in there later in the chomp segment. But either way, those are my 3 oh my's. Phenomenal amount of plays. I probably had 7 written down. These are 3 I went with. Hopefully got some other ones, B, because there were some great ones to choose from. What do you have?
So I do have 2 of the same, but unless your honorable mention has to be in Chomp, throw it in now, because I do have an honorable mention in mine as well. So I said I didn't cheat, and I didn't cheat, but if you have an honorable mention, you can throw it in now because I have one as well.
I'll wait. You say.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to put mine in now because it's not really an oh my play. So I'll explain when I get there, but it's at the end. So my first one. So again, 2 of the 3, same as yours. No surprise.
Wow.
My first one is going to be the VB3 60-yard catch as well. And it's funny because we did say there really were a ton to choose from in this game, so I had to pick the ones that I thought were just the biggest and the best. And the Spirito one was tough for me not to include, but that's the one I don't have, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
So the VB3 60-yard catch and run, again, first, the play itself was outstanding. So you made mention of it, right? DJ looks left, and besides checking what was down there, he also looked off the safety by doing this, right? He kept the safety low, right, by doing this. And he spots the one-on-one with Vernell after he turns back to the right, as you said, and then immediately releases a very nice ball. Little underthrown, but a nice ball, right? Very catchable, good pass, right? Vernell adjusts, right, and makes an outstanding catch, as you mentioned, over the DB, but also manages to keep his balance. So one of the things that's really hard when you come back to the field there, come back to the DB once you have him beat, is usually that goes down right away, right? We saw that last year time and time again with Elijah Badger. Love Elijah Badger to death, but man, the guy could not get a whole lot of yak in a lot of cases because he would, adjust to a ball or whatever the case might be, and it seemed like he was just always getting tackled. Vernell did not have that happen. He makes that catch over the DB and just trucks him off and then keeps going and gets a bunch of yak on top of it. Like, unbelievable. Secondly, though, the timing of this was really important. And I want to call this out as well, because we were backed up in our own end on like the 10-yard line with a 1st and 15 and needed to put a drive together midway through the third quarter. And this play was obviously the spark to do that. It only ended in a field goal, granted, but it was still points on the board that would not have happened without, or, well, I can't know that, but wouldn't have for sure happened without this play, right? So phenomenal play and really important to the flow of the game. Number 2, you mentioned it. Dallas Wilson, 55-yard TD. I mean, I'm hearing words like alien, freak show, otherworldly. Like, this kid is getting all kinds of hype, and rightfully so. Talked about it Saturday. Gonna talk about it again now. Amazing contact balance by Dallas to stay in bounds while turning around and being hit by the DB and then pushing through a second tackler as he scored and still not going down. Just fighting that guy off his leg like he was some kind of like obnoxious, I don't want to call anybody like names or anything, but just, like, get off me, while he's pushing through to the end zone. Unbelievable individual playmaking ability with this kid. I cannot wait to see more. I am like, let's go. Like, it is, I don't want to go as far as to say Jeremiah Smith vibes, but it is not that far off, man. This kid is incredible. I am stoked to have him, and he is special. He is special. We have not seen a receiver like this in quite some time at the University of Florida. And to have him paired with VB3, wow, man, oof, lot of fun to come. A lot of fun to come. True freshman. Exciting. Okay, number 3, Devin Moore. Pick. You knew it was going to be here because I had it as one of my key plays of the game. Yes. However, I made a mistake on Saturday, and I apologize. I need to correct it. We're all about accuracy, as mentioned. I said that this set up the drive that made Texas burn all their timeouts. I was wrong. It was one drive after where they had to burn their timeouts. We actually moved the ball a little bit and then punted, and then we stopped them again. They punted, and then that's where they had to burn all their timeouts. So it was still a very significant play, but I messed up the order there. There was one drive in between, so apologies, and I wanted to make a correction on that because, again, that's what we're about here is accuracy. So, this pick, again, just unbelievable. So he gets turned inside by the receiver. Really nice route by, I think it was Mosley. Apologies if that's the wrong receiver. Could have been Wingo. I don't remember who the receiver was on this play, but he gets turned to the inside of the field and actually gets his hips like rotated the wrong way, right? To where he has to actually turn his body completely around once he realizes that the receiver's heading back to the boundary. So he gets beat, quite frankly. But again, as I mentioned Saturday, he doesn't panic. He turns around, gets square, and breaks because he knows he's beat. So he anticipates the ball is coming. So he just puts all his effort into getting back around and locating the ball, high pointing it, and making a heck of a play because this was a great throw. That receiver was open. There was nothing wrong with this decision by Arch. This was just an all-world play by a future NFL corner in Devin Moore. As long as he can stay healthy, knock on every piece of wood because we know this kid has struggled with injury. 5 games in, we're looking good, but knock every piece of wood you got because, man, I want him to stay healthy. Contract year for this kid. I want everything for him. He is so deserving. He has so much talent, and this play demonstrated virtually all of it. The speed, the talent, everything that he has, great hands. What an amazing play. All right, last but not least, my honorable mention, Gator Nation. Hats off. I don't know if you could hear the clap there, but absolutely phenomenal. Yes. I wish I was there for this one, man. We've been to a lot of games together in the Swamp, you and I, and man, I wish I had been there for this one. It could not make it up this weekend, but man, that place was clearly rocking. Mm-hmm. 5 false starts and a delay of game that were probably all caused by noise, quite frankly. Absolutely blaring in there. Multiple coaches from Texas that made comments after the game that it was the loudest environment or one of the loudest they'd been in. One specifically said Ohio State didn't hold a candle. Not maybe those exact words, but basically that it was not as loud at Ohio State as it was here. Remember, they've never played here before. They haven't been here since 1940, right? So they don't know what it's like. Well, they found out. So again, those things don't just happen. Anybody who doesn't have this stadium in the top 10 toughest to play in when we fill it up and show out and have a game in there, they're just wrong. I'm not saying it's number one. I'm not. There's a lot of tough places to play in college football. but we are top 10, debatably top 5 for sure. And man, hats off to you, Gator Nation. You showed up, you showed out. Way to go. Way to go. That's all I got to say. So that's my honorable mention. I had to throw it in. Again, not really an oh my, but in terms of the play, but man, kudos. So with that, let's get into the offense. Let's talk about it, because we actually have an offense to talk about. Yes. Amazing. Maybe debatably kind of first time all year. LIU maybe a little bit, but it was still LIU. It was weird, and then after that it was just bad. So now we get to talk about something fun. So first and foremost, as we always start with, Lagway, quarterback rating. As most of you probably know, but if you don't, we use the NFL quarterback rating, not the college quarterback rating here, because we find it to be more consistent. Anything over 100 is good. 85 or so is average, and below that is, not as good, right? And then obviously it progresses down from there. It goes from 0 to 158.3. Lagway had a 117.86 in this game. That is good, to say the least. It was a very solid performance, obviously, 75% completion, just shy of 300 yards, and of course, 2 touchdowns and the 1 interception, but much more indicative of what he does at over 10 yards per attempt. Very, very nice stuff in this game. Also nice was the 4.3 yards per carry that we averaged against a very good rushing defense. Again, a defense that was only allowing 60 some odd yards per game. Actually, I think it was 59 and change per game that they were averaging coming in. Granted, a little bit of a skewed stat, but still clearly a good rushing defense. And we take them for 159 and 4.3 yards per carry. Outstanding. And again, that number, that 4.3, was degraded by the last 2 drives where we were trying to run the clock out and did get very little yards per carry on those drives. So that's something to keep in mind as well in that number. So Houston, we have an offense, and no, not Joe Houston, who coordinates the special teams. Actually, let's talk to Mission Command, right? Really great to see this team show up against the solid defensive unit. Again, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Texas just played like crap and everything else." No, they didn't. They didn't play like crap. Texas played a quality game. They did not play like garbage at all. They may not have their best game, but this is a quality opponent with a ton of talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball, right? I'm really impressed with what we saw here. This is what we thought we would see from this team from day one. We'll get into that conversation later about why it took so long, but we'll put a pin in that. Lagway in particular looked like the quarterback we have been waiting to see. And that is just a massive weight lifted, at least for this week. We don't know if it's going to continue. We don't know if we're going to, continue to see it moving forward. I certainly hope we do. But ultimately, this is what we were waiting for, right? I don't know if it was reps, right? We heard a rumor that he finally got good on good reps for the first time during the bye week. So were you lying when you said that he had 11 on 11 in the practice for the first time before LIU? I don't know. But regardless, clearly something was different and better. And also, he had time to throw in this game because the O-line decided to actually pass protect. What an idea. What a concept, right? But they were much better. And I don't know if it was the practice reps that were better, the O-line blocking was better, a combination of both. Whatever it was, this is what we were waiting to see. And man, was it nice to see. That was the DJ we thought we were going to get. Maybe even not 100% of it, but pretty darn close. That was pretty darn good. I'll take that DJ all day. So, as mentioned, the O-line. This is what we thought we would see. Oh, a theme is emerging, right? Run blocking, pass blocking, night and day from the first 4 games of the season. 0 sacks, only 3 tackles for loss against the Texas front 7 that is legit. 3 tackles for loss, and 2 of them came on 1 drive to Colin Simmons, who is a very good player. Need I say more? I don't know the PFF grades. I didn't look them up, but I guarantee they were a heck of a lot better than they were against Miami. We'll just leave it at that.
Yep.
Jaden Ball continues to impress with his abilities. Just an NFL caliber back without question, and he proves it week in and week out. Vision, footwork, strength, speed. He has every tool in the toolbox. Man, is he fun to watch. I think my favorite part is when the first guy that tries to tackle him basically never succeeds. It is pretty much like, well, that guy's not going to get him. Like almost every time. Very rarely does the first guy that tries to tackle him actually tackle him. I want to know what the missed tackle rate on Jaden Ball is this season for opposing teams, because it's got to be rough. I mean, it has got to be rough. So that's fun. Definitely. I think we really missed Jacoby in this game. Unfortunately, I think this would have been his best game because he runs better when the O-line blocks in this manner. And what I mean by that is when they're carving out a nice seam for him, man, he's one that puts his foot in the ground and gets it, right? He's kind of a Montrell Johnson style runner. He needs that lane to find that vision, hit that cut and go. I think we missed him in this game. Shout out to Duke Clark. Nice game, stepped up and play well. Hope the injury isn't serious. Don't know anything about it. Don't know if it is. Really surprised we did not see Caden Daniels in this game. Very surprised by that with as good as he looked at the end of last season. Don't know what's going on there. Was not reported as injured. Confused by that. But we'll see what happens next week with Florida West. Last point. Play calling was actually not awful. I am always one to say when I see something, I say something one way or another. Play design was still the same old, but the calling, the mix of run and pass appropriately, timed well, at least fairly well in most situations, was actually pretty good. We leaned into the run early, set up the pass, set up the play action. That's what this team is built to do. I don't know where the hell that's been for 4 weeks, but in this game, we showed it. And you know what? It worked. Amazing. Again, don't know where that's been, but this made sense. I know you may not believe me saying that, but it did. This is what we thought this offense could be capable of, right? And it's not to say that we thought it could be great or a juggernaut or anything else. No, right? We left points on the board yet again, probably at least 10, maybe 14, maybe 17 because of some questionable play calling, especially in the fourth quarter. Get into that later. So does this mean I think Napier should keep calling plays? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's so many better ways to call offense. This could have been way more of a wide open game with the way we were executing and playing ball. However, we can be effective with the talent we have on the field, even with play calling that's holding us back, if DJ and the run game can look like this. We talked about it in the offseason. We knew we could potentially do this. And this is what that looks like. So, can that continue? I don't know, because with Napier, you never know what you're going to get. But there you go. That's my offensive take. What do you got, my man?
Great take. A lot of great points in there. Well said. I'll try and do you some justice here. So,
all right,
for me, this was. I think a lot of people that's where you look at the head scratching, right? It's more so of what? Wait, what are we seeing? Huh?
Yeah,
we're moving the football. Lagway, right? QBR 117.86, 4.3 yards a carry. Lagway 21 of 28 for 75% completion percentage.
Yep.
Just a shy 2 yards under 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and INT. And that INT, his arm was hit by that beast of Simmons to release that ball. So that was what it was.
Yep.
Okay. Outside of that, Ball 27 rushes, 114 yards. Come on. Duke Clark, 9 rushes, 38 yards. He was north of 4 on yards per carry. Great job, right? Dallas Wilson, 6 receptions, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns along a 55, broke several freshman wide receiver records in this first game in the Swamp. Unreal. The Gators own time of possession, 34 minutes and 7 seconds. By the way, the Gators are number 18 in the nation in time of possession, averaging 32 per game. Probably the best thing, one of the best things, or the main best thing for me about this game was that opening drive. Too many times I've seen this team take the opening drive and flutter or stall or spurt or hitch. Not literally, but not run a hitch. too many hitches, in fact. But the opening drive, watch this. Short pass to Wilson, the fumble, the recovery, heart attack averted. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Ball, the big push down the field. That's when you saw the offensive line. Oh, they came to play. Look at the push.
Mm-hmm.
Reminds me
Mm-hmm.
of what Miami did to us a few weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lagway, sidearm completion to Mizell. Mizell, crossing route completion, sidearm, third down. Ball, springing the block for VB3 on the third and short, jet sweep to the
Yeah, that
left,
was nice. That was nice. A
right?
quick thought on that. Why
Yeah.
is VB3 so much better on that jet sweep than Trey Wilson? Because he's way better. Why
Um,
is he so much better? I don't know.
It's the hips, it's the twitchiness. Believe it or not, VB3 is twitchier and quicker than Trey. So therefore,
I
when
guess.
he springs at the ball, no disrespect to Trey, but look at the angle that VB3 takes compared to the angle that Trey used to take.
I think it's the angle. I like you're calling the angle there. I mean, maybe VB3 is a hair quicker, right? Maybe not faster, but quicker.
Yeah.
But the angle, I like the angle. As soon as he catches that edge, he's angled upfield. I feel like
Bam.
Trey often kind of trails a little longer before he tries to turn it. VB3
Yeah.
seems to like almost be running a diagonal, right? Like it's. I think it's the angle. I like that call. I like it.
Yeah. I think Trey's running a little bit more east-west than he has to. But
I think you're right. I think you're right.
But again, if you look at what VB3 did on the edge, if you look at what Ball did on the edge to spring that block, maybe Trey's not getting a good block, which is why he does have to run more horizontally. I don't know, but either way,
Trey's definitely had some poor blocking on that play, but I think it's just because everybody's been reading our mail on it, so it's not all on Trey. I'm not trying to discredit Trey, but VB3 is definitely something about it is better with Vernell running it for sure.
It is. It is. And then you've got Dallas Wilson dragging two tacklers to get 3 more yards on a pass. 3 more yards. That made all the difference in the world. I do question the timeout in 3rd and 1. Was it absolutely necessary? Okay, fine. It is what it was. And then Jaden Ball, the run, the stop, the juke, the turn, the step to go outside.
Yeah.
13 plays. 84 yards, 7 minutes and 2 seconds. You know what that is? That's how you set the tone to look at the defense and go, guess what, guys? It's going to be a long night.
Yes, right. That's
Period.
Right.
Right?
Right.
159 rushing yards. Texas was giving up under 60 a game. I get it. They played UTEPs and El Pasos and whatever the case might be, but still not a bad defense. 457 yards of offense. 457. Yeah. Phenomenal. Okay. 29 points scored compared to 33 over the past 3 games. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. 0 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss. B, I think you mentioned it. Golf clap for the offensive line. They showed up. And no, I could not find the PFF numbers at all. I found the PFF for Texas, but not for Florida. Whatever. It is what it is. DJ Lagway looked like the DJ Lagway of old, or young, or injured, or whatever. Back foot sidearm throw to Sturdivant, Mizell, Wilson, and VB3 all in this game. 5 different placed sidearm back foot throws. The kind of things he was doing last year that made us scratch our heads and go, is he for real? Like, what is going on right here?
Yeah.
Okay. A couple of key plays I wanted to call out. 3rd and 8 minutes to go in the second quarter, the blitz by Texas. Lagway able to pick it up, able to stay in the pocket, sidestep, sidearm throw to Sturdivant. He couldn't even see Sturdivant.
That throw was disgusting. That throw was so nasty.
That edge had Lagway covered up, couldn't see it, trusted Sturdivant to be there, and he was in stride. Release rotation splash.
Yes.
As one of our favorite anchors would say. But indeed. Anyways, was what it was. 4:55 to go in the second quarter. Lagway play action. To see play action work like this, phenomenal. To Wilson for the slant play. Here's the thing. When Wilson caught that pass for his first touchdown, I love seeing Wilson go out and the juke that he did to the corner to go right, then come in. He sold it so well to create all that separation. Phenomenal job to set that and get the separation. Just great.
Who's that head fake? Who does it remind you of? For me,
Well,
former Gator,
couple people.
not too long ago Gator. Current
Oh,
NFL Gator. For me, it reminded.
are you saying Ricky?
Yeah, it flashes of Ricky all day to me. That's what
So
I saw.
here's the thing that's interesting about Wilson's frame. You see him out there, and the way that he run, Ricky, I can probably say the same. So that's a great observation. B, running with purpose. He
Yep.
runs with, you know this. You know when a receiver runs a route, then you're like, holy crap, he just ran a route, right?
Yep.
He's got that kind of a feel to it. So phenomenal. Couple things I'll say. Didn't like the series of play calls coming out of the safety. I felt like
Nope.
after we had the
Agreed.
safety, right? And especially with what Simmons was doing and building some of that momentum on the edge, Barber just couldn't contain him. We ran right into him. Okay. Two
Yep.
missed blocks on the third down, third and short with less than 130 to go that brought up that fourth down with less than 2 minutes ago. I didn't like the series of calls there. I agree with you. The play calling was better. But again, these are the different things if we're going to be nitpicky to figure out how we really need this offense to churn and burn.
I mean,
But at the end,
I don't think it's that nitpicky for the record, but yeah,
sure,
we'll call it nitpicky, I guess.
right. And then Baugh, 27 carries, 114 yards. Over the past two games, he's had 10 carries, 13 carries. Baugh needs now again of the 27 carries, some of that was in the closing minutes. So
Yeah,
obviously, two or three of those, four of those, not really worth it. But Baugh needs at least 20 touches per game.
agreed.
Period. 20
Agreed.
touches per game. He's got the body. He's built for it. We can sub in Clark. We'll sub in Daniels, depending on what happens with Jack Cheese the rest of the year. We know Treon Webb is gone for a while. No problem. But Ball has proven to be a man child. You got to unleash him. And he's going to run. He is going to run. He does not get tired. Just love seeing that.
Yep.
It's so amazing to see this offense. And this probably isn't even its potential, but to see what is physically possible with this offense, such a sigh of relief, a scratch on the head, but also very, very refreshing. Much needed. Much needed, B.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Really well said and totally agree. And it was great to see. And maybe it's the only time we see it all year. I certainly hope not. Again, we'll talk more about that later, but yeah, really nice. So, all right, let's transition. Let's talk Gator bait. I can't wait to get to this from my side, but start us off. Give us the rundown. What are the numbers and what are your thoughts on this Gator defense that continues to just really impress?
Man, Arch Manning, QBR 80.1 yards per
Not
carry.
great. Not great for the record.
Also not great. Yards per carry. 2.0. And again, in case you're wondering, yes, it does include Arch's carries and his sack yardage. B and I talk, hey, you include it, it's close to 4. You take it out, it's at 2. 6 and 1, half dozen of another. Either way, not good, right? Or
No. So just for some clarity on that, we do typically take sack yardage out when it is not a mobile quarterback, but when it is
right.
a mobile quarterback, we typically leave it in because there are going to be a lot of carries to kind of offset the sack yardage that's in there. That's just typically how we do it. If for some reason we think that's skewed, we will remove it. But in this case, we felt like, Arch was the leading rusher. So we're going to leave it in because he was the leading rusher with the sack yardage. So, I mean, we left it in. So yeah, 2 yards per carry. Yes, it had the sack yardage, but it also had him again as the leading rusher. So we felt like it was justified to leave it in. So there you go.
Perfect. Only allowed 16 first downs, 52 net yards rushing. Hello.
Phenomenal.
Held Texas to 341 yards, only 25 minutes time of possession. We got our defense off the field. We kept them off. We kept them fresh. We kept legs fresh. We kept lungs fresh. Phenomenal. 6 sacks for 37 total yards lost. Absolutely phenomenal. Couple of other call outs here. Tyreek Sapp, welcome to the season.
Yes,
Tyreek
sir.
Sapp led the team in tackles for the first time since last year.
He led I didn't know that. That's phenomenal, actually.
6 total tackles.
Wow.
Amazing. 1 tackle for loss, all right, on 3 yards. Miles Graham, 5 tackles. Bryce Thornton, 5 tackles. Sharif Denson, 5 tackles and a sack. Devin Moore, Jaden Robinson, 4 tackles, and a host of Gators. 50 total tackles, 7 tackles for loss, totaling 39 yards. Phenomenal job.
How many missed tackles, Randy? Because we got that stat today.
Holy smokes. Was it 5?
Three.
Three.
Missed tackles.
Thank you.
Phenomenal.
Excellent. 2 interceptions, 18 total yards returned, 10 QB hurries to go with that 6 sack. 10 QB hurries. Arch is going to be sore. Was sore Sunday morning. I'm telling you, folks. I'm telling you. Great sim pressures dialed up by Roberts to make Arch make decisions in the pocket. I love what he did on the 4 and set. He had 2 guys that you thought were coming. Guess what? They dropped back. You had 2 coming from the opposite side, and that confused the crap out of Manning. Okay.
Yep. And the offensive line.
Oh, exactly. In the second quarter, less than 5 minutes to go, Miles Graham coming from the opposite side out of nowhere to tackle the running back at the line of scrimmage to set up a punt. Miles Graham, phenomenal job. I felt like Brian Taylor and Tyreek Sapp lived in the backfield.
Yeah, man. Brian Taylor with a heck of a game.
Heck of a game. Correct. Phenomenal job. So this was one of his best games of the season, hopefully building blocks for him. All right. Love the way the defense came out on Texas' first drive coming out of the third quarter because you say, okay, they're going to half, they're down. Sark's gonna get them back dialed in, right? They're gonna get dialed back in. They're gonna come out in third quarter and lay a haymaker and lay some punches. Guess what? No dice. Manning gets sacked on that possession twice. They had to punt. The interception by Devin Moore, that was my honorable mention. That's funny.
That is funny.
I love how Louis Riddick called it. Combine work.
He did. Yeah, it was.
Combine work.
Yeah.
Right? Great ability to turn upfield, reposition, reset. Love what you said. Not panic. Find the football. Hands up. High point it. Done. End of story.
Yep.
It was tough for me to see Texas with that late TD drive with 3 minutes to go because I felt like their tempo and what they were doing hurt us, right? Plus the middle of the field got too open with softer coverage. But overall, the defense held, gave up some big plays in the process, allowed Arch to run a lot in that fourth. The spy shifted, and yes, the coverage was good, but because the coverage was so good downfield, there was no spy that was able to drop down. Arch was able to pick up a lot of yardage via his feet. But outside of that, like I said previously, I have no doubt that he was sore on Sunday morning. A couple quick numbers. Total defense, number 24 in the nation. Total scoring defense, number 26 in the nation.
Yep.
Third down defense, number 28 in the nation, folks, all while facing 3 teams in the top 10, right? And B, you mentioned the numbers on tackling. Phenomenal job. Missed just 3 tackles. And the other thing that I love about this is the fact that Florida holds the 5th lowest opponent explosive percentage play in the SEC at just under 10%. This defense continues to show up. They continue to show out. And again, B, you mentioned it. There's still injuries. We're not at 100% on the defensive line.
Not even close.
Not even close. And these guys are producing at a high level. I'll call this out later, right? In Pride of the Sunshine. But either way, phenomenal job. Can't say enough. Yeah, a couple of busted plays, couple of blown plays, but at the end of the day, to really limit what this Texas offense is capable of doing, phenomenal job, B. What do you have for Gator Bay?
Yeah, man, love it. Love your excitement there. I'm going to get as hype, probably more hype here. But first thing I'll call out is,
okay,
we talked about, getting B here sometimes. You mentioned a couple of busts. Yes, we had them. Let's remember who we're up against here. This is Steve Sarkisian. This is one of the best offensive minds in college football. Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian, right? Oh, God. I'm losing my mind on USC's coach's name. It's not
Lincoln
coming
Riley.
to me. Thank you, Lincoln Riley. I had the Riley. I couldn't think of the Lincoln. I mean, you're talking about one of the elite as far as offensive minds go in college football. This guy is top tier. This is who Billy wishes he was. Okay. So like this guy is amazing. And we held them to 341. I'm sorry, but it's true. We held them to 341 yards and 21 points. I mean, that's amazing. Lest we forget what they put on us last year. 49 and like 600 yards of total offense. I mean, they decimated us. Now, granted, we had no offense, and I understand, but they destroyed us last year. Also, I noted they threw a play at us that they ran against us very effectively last year. That little throwback to the opposite side of the field running back screen.
Yeah,
it worked kind of, but it got like 7 yards. Last year, it went for 45 and a touchdown. Not so much this year. This defense is so much more disciplined. It's so much better. We don't miss tackles, as you mentioned. Like, we're averaging 3 in this game, 5.2 per game on the season, according to I guess PFF. I don't know what the source was on the Gator Country article I read, but I'm assuming PFF because that's usually who tracks that. This defense is just
correct.
Impressing the crap out of me this season. I cannot tell you. You guys know, if you've listened to this, that I really enjoy the defense on this team. I am an offensive guy, probably first and foremost, as far as what gets me hyped up, but that defense really gets me hyped up too. And I miss the days of Florida having a really good defense. And I got to tell you, I think they might be back at least this year. Man, this defense is legit. Continues to impress. I love the adjustments that we continue to see, not only throughout the season, but at halftime during the game. What a concept. Even though Texas scored more in the second half, the increased pressure on Arch in the second half was just outstanding, and you could see it. Loved how he mixed up the looks with the different sim pressures. I mean, we're getting corner sim pressures. Sharif Denson and Devin Moore, please, have a sack in this game.
Yes.
Devin Moore doesn't have a sack in his career, potentially including high school. The kid's never had a sack in his life, and he's got one in this game because of what Ron Roberts is dialing up in this game. Like, I just absolutely phenomenal stuff. And it makes sense. He's doing sim pressures that make sense now. This is like, I don't know what he was doing against, I think it was USF when we're dropping defensive linemen. I'm not sure what that was, but like, and I'm talking interior defensive linemen again, but this made sense. This was exactly what you want to see. This was confusing. Arch didn't know what to expect. As you mentioned, the offensive line didn't know what to expect. We had guys coming from everywhere. They never knew who was coming. Man, it was awesome. The one rough spot, as you mentioned, was some downfield coverage, several open guys at multiple different times. And in many cases, Cormani was the victim here. I posted on Insta his PFF grades and how good he's been this season. So this is not what I expected to see because, man, he got cooked multiple times in this game. He can and has played better than what we saw in this game, especially in man coverage, which he was in a lot, actually. And that was kind of surprising, too, because Roberts tends to play a ton of zone, and we were playing a lot of man, at least with the corners. The safeties were often in a zone concept, but the corners were often playing some form man. Maybe it was a matchup zone. I don't know exactly what we were in a lot of cases, but we were definitely having corners man up guys, and man, Cormani just kept getting beat. It was weird, honestly. But I hope to see him bounce back this week against Florida West for sure, because he's capable of better than that. Now, maybe, again, good wide receivers on this team for Texas. Maybe he was just getting beat by some of their route running, perhaps good wide receiver coaching that was doing something he hadn't seen. I don't know. But ultimately, Cormani was a little disappointing in this game and just the downfield coverage in general in some cases. All right, changing gears back to the positive. 6 sacked. Phenomenal. And as I mentioned, a lot of this came from scheme. 4.5 of those sacks were from D linemen, 1.5 from other players, as I mentioned. So I guess one of those for Denson maybe was a split. But ultimately, Texas held to 2.0 yards per carry, as we mentioned, with no Banks, no McCray, no Mbachu. That's just an awesome effort.
Oh, yeah.
That is just an awesome effort to have that many guys in the interior of the line. Well, McCray's not interior, but still on the line being out for this game and to hold a good, talented team to 2 yards per carry. That's phenomenal. I mean, that's so good. Great call out on Sapp leading the team in tackles. Do you know how hard it is for a defensive lineman at any position to lead the team in tackles? That doesn't happen. It's safeties or linebackers. Always. Right. Always. That's insane that Sapp led the team in tackles. That's amazing. Great stat. I'll sum this up by saying I love how this defense continues to play. I mentioned at the beginning, I appreciate the scheme that we're playing with. Loved some of the stats you threw out about explosives there. Hats off to the players. Hats off to the coaches. Big Papa Ron in the house. Love watching it. It gets me hype on game day when I see this. Gator bait. Baby, let's go. I am jacked about this defense, man. I told you I was going to get hype about it, and I did. So there you go. All right.
Love it.
Moving along. Yeah, man, I love it too. It is so much fun. Moving along. Visor throw segment. Okay, let's get into it. Where are our beefs here? Because we do have some. I actually have maybe more than you might expect. Maybe I don't.
Okay.
I have more than you expect. We'll see. First and foremost, the timeout. So There's been a lot of talk about the timeout at the end of the game here.
A lot.
Turns out it's not as bad as you might think. In fact, debatably, on your point of view, it's not bad at all. Initially seemed like it's a total blunder, right? 10-second runoff, that could have been taken. You didn't take it, right? And then you called a timeout, even worse, because you stopped the clock when you didn't have to, right? Wrong. All of that is wrong. We did a ton of research here. I had to really dig into this. If you search ChatGPT, the information's wrong. If you search Google, the information's wrong. I had to actually dig into like rule books to find the correct information because the internet doesn't understand what's going on here because it's a weird rule. So I saw articles published about this that were wrong because the rule is confusing as hell. So here is the rule specific to this situation. So rule 3-3-10 of the official rule book of NCAA, and this source is in this case, it's San Diego County Football Officials Association College Rule Book is where I pulled this from. So this is how the rule reads in regards to a player who loses his helmet under 2 minutes and the opposing team gets the choice of the runoff. So that is very important. When our player loses the helmet, it is Texas that gets the call as to whether or not the 10-second runoff is taken. That's the first part. We're not done, but that's the first part. If there is this is the rule now, verbatim, I'm quoting. If there is a 10-second runoff, the game clock will start on the referee's signal for ready to play. So in other words, when they spot the ball back and the referee blows his whistle, ready to play, the game clock starts ticking, right? And you would be able to burn down basically all the 25-second play clock that would be left, assuming that the ball stayed in bounds, right? And you had a running clock when the helmet came off, which we did. That would be the situation. But that's if the runoff is taken, which of course it would not be because Texas is down. So they declined the runoff, which they did. So if there is no 10-second runoff, again, I'm quoting, the game clock will start on the snap.
Much different than ready for play.
No time lost whatsoever by Napier taking his timeout. None. So why did he take the timeout? Because Austin Barber lost his helmet and he wanted his best left tackle back in the game. So he took the timeout to get him back in the game for the key third down play where they had potential to get a first down, theoretically, except they didn't because they were running into a 10-man box and everybody knew they were going to run the ball, which they should have run the ball. Here's my only reason that this is in visor throw and not somewhere else. Because I still don't love that you took the timeout. It wasn't a wrong call to take the timeout. It didn't cost you any time. There was no time more that would have been off the clock, despite what the announcers may have thought, despite what people who've written articles thought, despite what I thought when I was watching the game. I was infuriated. I thought they were wrong. I was wrong. I had to do research. You learn something new every day. Hats off to Napier if he really did know this. Did he? I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. This is a weird rule. I'm not sure a lot of coaches would have known this, quite frankly. That's not a knock at Billy. This is a weird rule. The reason I don't like the timeout, it's not because we didn't get the first down. It's because you had 2 timeouts. Texas was going to get the ball back in this situation with about a minute left. What if you needed both timeouts? Because you needed to stop the clock in case they did move the ball on you too much, and you needed to save time for your offense to get the ball back in this situation, potentially to go get a field goal and win the game. Now you've cost yourself one of those timeouts and virtually eliminated any option of that potentially happening. Now, granted, they needed a touchdown and a 2-point conversion just to tie. So theoretically, it's not the end of the world, but I'd rather see you save timeouts in that situation when in all likelihood, you know, you're going to go back on that field. They know you're going to run the ball. You did run the ball. You didn't get the first down. You didn't gain any yards whatsoever, even with having your great left tackle back in the game. So who cares if you played or not? It just seemed a little pointless to me. Is it a big deal? Nah, it's not huge. It's not certainly near as big as I thought it was during the time when I saw this play, but it still raises to the effect of, yeah, I'm going to put it in visor throw because I don't love it. All right, that's that. Hopefully that's clear. Hopefully everybody learned something. I know Randy and I did. Really weird rule. Really weird rule. All right, moving along. Fourth quarter play calling. I gave some praise for play calling earlier in this game. Not in the fourth quarter. The only play call that I am okay with in the fourth quarter is the deep shot to Mizell that got intercepted, believe it or not. Obviously, as Randy mentioned, that play was a weird one because Lagway's hand got hit, but there was no real aggression outside of that play at all. Not surprised, typical Napier. Oh, I have the lead. Let me huddle up into my shell and hope I can hold on, survive, right? Let my defense try and win me the game because, if I take any risks, what could happen? And then, of course, we have to throw a pick, which is only going to reemphasize his beliefs, which drives me nuts. That's not how you effectively win ball. You have to have a killer instinct. He doesn't have it. He's proven it time and time and time again. He would much rather try to play ball control when the defense knows you're going to do that, so you're not going to be able to, and just try to bleed clock than actually go for the jugular and put the game away. He just never does it. It drives me nuts. So that's on the list. And last but not least, and this one by far and away surpasses all the rest, I loved seeing how this team played this week. This is what we knew we thought we could see from week one. But why, for the second year in a row, and in some ways I could debate the third, but we won't get into that, does it take until after the bye week to see this team start playing to their potential? It makes zero sense, and honestly, even less sense than it did last year. Because last year you had an easier start this year you have an easier start to the season. You have more talent on the roster than you did last year. You have more continuity in starters than you did returning from 23 to 24. And in 24, we're coming off a 5-game losing streak in 23. There is zero reason for this to be the case. And yet, here we are, with a worse record through 5 games than you had last year. Why? It's not even remotely justified. Could I live with 3-2 right now? Absolutely. Absolutely. I could live with 3-2. You played 3 top 10 opponents, 2 top 5 opponents. Could I deal with losing to LSU and Miami? Yes. Do I think we should have, based on what those teams looked like when we played us? No, probably not. But could I live with it just in a vacuum? Yes. But losing to USF is just ridiculous. It never should have ever happened in a million years. There's zero excuse for it. And this is why this is still a massive problem. And I am genuinely worried. That if this team has turned a corner and does start to play their potential and wins a bunch of games for the rest of the season, not all of them, but a bunch, that Napier keeps his job. And that just shouldn't happen, because we cannot start seasons like a dumpster fire and have to wait till the bye week to show up, because you're never going to win anything doing that. And clearly that's the recipe that Napier knows how to employ, is wait till my back is completely against the wall and I'm about to get run out of town with pitchforks and torches, and then I'll figure out how to get the team to play right. I got nothing. I'm done. What do you got?
Well said. I see your visor, throw and raise you a couple.
Fire away, buddy.
So I will say this: the play calling on the second possession. So we just came down. We had an opening drive, touchdown, set the tone, set the momentum. Their first possession, we force a punt, we get a stop, and on that second possession, if you remember, we're down around the 20-yard line. He throws Lagway throws a short pass to Hansen out the left. It was at his feet. It was short. It brought up third down. We run right into the box, settle for a field goal. But there is an instance where, you said it, I'll say it again, killer instinct. It's only the first quarter, yep. But the difference of going up 14-0 in the first quarter versus 10-0, huge emphasis. Yep. We missed it. Didn't like the series of play calling. I mentioned this earlier, coming out of the safety. Again, weak. After you make Texas go, I think it was a 3-and-out, 4-and-out, punt their first possession to get in the third quarter, you get the football, 2 running plays, a screen pass, a 3-and-out, and you had to punt on 4-and-4, where that's another opportunity where you go for the jugular. Just does not do it. That is absolutely frustrating. And then, of
Right.
course, the series of play calling on the last two drives with under 3 minutes to go to run out the clock. I go back to the Alabama-Georgia game from a couple of weeks ago. It's 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 for Alabama. What Alabama does, they line up power formation. They take the right guard. They take him. They position him over to the left. And Georgia's going, oh, they're running to the left side. They shift over some linebackers. They do it. The ball is snapped. Guess what? Everyone is leading left. They're going to go left, right? And then the back just comes out of the backfield, goes to the right, untouched. 4 yards, first down, game over.
Yep, done. Back to the boundary, exactly.
Right? We have no type of ingenuity telling me that we can come up with something like that to seal a game.
Yep. Especially with him being such a good running play caller, or play designer, right? The one thing he is good at is running play design, and it's like, where is that in those situations, right? Exactly. Where's the creativity? Where's the ingenuity, or I don't know. I agree with you 100%.
Yes, the ingenuity, exactly. Because if this is really what got you here, then okay, I'm gonna leave that alone for now. Here's my thing on the timeout with Austin Barber. Was it necessary to call the timeout just to get Barber back in the game? Was that juice worth the squeeze? Because I tell you what, if you take that timeout, regardless of what happens with the clock, you take the timeout, but coming over, Hansen misses a block, Barber misses a block, and then guess what else? You had another missed block. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was Slaughter, but either way, got blown up. And yeah, they stacked the box. But again, you take the timeout, you go through all that trouble on a 3rd and 4 to do that. Something else, please. Please, the juice really wasn't worth the squeeze in that sense. Outside of Barber, you could have put anybody else in there, you would have gotten the same result. So that's what I hated for it. It was the stoppage, it was the momentum, it was the whole mechanics of it, not just the actual game clock winding down. So that was that. Cormani McClain. Cormani, you've grown a lot. Great opportunities. You've done some great things for the program. You yourself have grown individually. But out of your targets, okay, you got beat 6 different times with routes to Wingo, Mosley in the middle of the field, 2 big catches by Livingston, okay? The last catch by Wingo from the backup QB with less than 30 seconds. This one had the most impact because guess what? Soft coverage, you give him 5-6 yards, catches the football. Wingo goes out to the boundary. And you're thinking, okay, they just went from the 19-yard line to their own 45. A nice 26-yard gain, right? Oh, but by the way, we got flagged for what? Hands to the face. Let's tack on another 15. So they go from their 19 to the Florida 40 with 19 seconds to go.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you had texted me something to the effect of that could have been disastrous. I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
So why put yourself in that situation?
Yeah, agreed.
I digress. That's all I got, man.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I think those are all pretty fair call outs. We don't typically include players in that, but I think that's a fair one. So yeah. All right. With that, let me have you get started here on the recruiting side of things. Give me your thoughts on hatchlings, where we stand.
Yeah, so right now, according to On3, I looked up the stats about 5 minutes before we went live, and no changes, right? Still 13th in the nation, 7th in the SEC, 53% of the recruits in state, 74% blue chip showing, still no 5 stars, 19 commits. I was happy to see that this game, we hosted up to 12 commits in the 2026 class. And B, if you want to go over who some of those commits were, that's all I got.
Yeah, absolutely. So big names hosted for this one. Kendall Gervil, who did catch that injury earlier this season, but still a solid recruit. He's Kent. I believe it's He's. It could be Heezy. I don't remember what he goes by, but that's the kind of freak tight end that potentially is coming in here. CG Brana, who is a great player, cornerback. Jeraylin McCoy, one of the top-rated recruits in the class. KJ Ford, another very high-end edge. And Davian Gross, who is the highest rated recruit in the class per on 3.
Yeah.
Also got Carson Baker back to the Swamp, who was going to go to Florida State and the last minute flipped back, came to this game and said, I'm home. Said, this is definitely where I'm coming. Like, very solid commits from Carson Baker, 4-star running back, outstanding stuff. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Very significant there. Also, how much this win and really how much just this team played overall helps keep recruiting from falling off the rails. At least for now. This was big, right? When you play well at home in a big game, man, huge impact because at home is where you're going to get the most visitors, right? And everything else for these games. This was big, man. This is a big recruiting game for us. The next big game we're going to have for like recruiting is going to be like Tennessee. That's way at the end of the season. And then Florida State, like, yeah, we play Mississippi State for homecoming, but like, that's not as big a game. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but like, yeah, this was huge. This was massive. So I think this was a huge recruiting win for this team and for the coaches and everything else. Like, this one really went a long way to help securing a lot of guys. I think they're going to see this and come away with, man, and especially seeing the Swamp rocking like it did. I mean, this game may have gone a long way to saving this recruiting class. Now, again, this is all assuming that Napier does keep his job, which, again, we're not in favor of. But at this point, who knows what's going to happen there. So anyway, moving along. We're going to, for now, this is where we are. So it is what it is. All right. Pride of the Sunshine. Once again, culture on this team just shines with these players. I love it, man. Extremely high levels of adversity and basically the world against them. Right? DJ said it. It's us against the world, right? And he said it after the game, actually. And I hadn't seen that when I wrote this, by the way. But they keep showing up and showing out and just putting outstanding effort on the field. And this time, it was both sides of the ball, which was great to see, right? Because we talk about this with the defense, but the offense showed the same, thankfully, throughout the game. Continue to talk about it because it continues to be so impressive. Do you know how hard that is? You know how hard it is to come out and play like this team played when everybody's telling you suck? When everybody's telling you you're all hype, that you're not worthy of the hype that you got, that you're not as talented as everybody says you are. I mean, think about that. If you went to work every day and everybody tells you you're terrible at your job, you're not good, you're really bad at what you do. You know that? Like, I know you came here and you got a good resume, but I think maybe you lied. Like, we need to check your references. You kind of suck at what you do. And you're hearing that every single day. Think about what it would do to your psyche. And this team just said, nah, bro, we're good. I mean, that's impressive stuff, man. That really takes culture. And I don't care how much you try to block out the noise, you hear it. In this day and age, there's no way you don't hear it. I also found Billy's comment at the presser really interesting in regards to Dallas Wilson, that he provided a spark to this team during the week with his energy and practice.
Yeah.
Perhaps that helped in getting the offense going as well. Hard to say, but I'm glad it worked.
Very interesting.
Because clearly something sparked, clearly. So that was really cool. What do you got for Pride of Sunshine, my man?
Yeah, man. For Sark, this loss, his first in 18 games at Texas when his team is ranked in the top 10, facing an unranked opponent. Really stuck it to him. Glad to see that. Second thing, Tyreek Sapp. It's been a minute because Tyreek Sapp in the offseason, you know what he said, B. You know the things that he has said and he has mentioned.
Yep.
Guess what? I'm not sure if you saw it on film, but he was dancing. He was clapping his hands, pointing at the line of scrimmage, lining up against number 52, right? And he was happy. You saw the pearly whites coming through that helmet. Tyreek Sapp was having fun. This is the first time I can say all season, 5 games in, that Tyreek Sapp looked like Tyreek Sapp.
Yep.
Play possessed.
Again, why'd it take 5 games? But yes, agreed.
Great question. No idea, but yeah, happy to see it. Welcome, Tyreek Sapp. Thanks for joining us for the 25 season. 95 decibels, right? That's what they record, 95 decibels down on the field. And
On the
allegedly,
field.
that's
On
like
the
having,
field.
correct. That's like having a chainsaw very close to your ear. Yeah, that's pretty loud. That's pretty loud. The
Yep.
swamp was rocking. Gator Nation showed up in a game that I did not know how Gator Nation would show up. I know there was some frustrations. I know a lot of people had this at as an L on the calendar, but boy did they show up and boy did they show out. B, I think you mentioned earlier, 5 false starts and a delay a game and a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Really
Yes,
great
Gator,
stuff.
the swamp affected it 100%. Billy at the podium talked about how he told the players to go home for a couple days after the open date, right? Embrace the noise. Listen to what the outside is saying. Come back.
Interesting.
Get to work. I'm not sure if you
I
caught
missed that one. I missed that one. That's unusual for him. That's interesting.
That's unusual, right? That is
Yeah.
unusual. So, folks, at the end of the day,
they're listening to the guy in Orlando in his basement.
Heyo, right? Right? At the end of the day, whether we like it or not, and for the record, Ben and I are for the removal of Napier as the primary play caller and potentially head coach. If Billy wants to stay head coach because of all the other things that is good with this program, but we get a designated, creative, modern, energetic, and forward-thinking play caller, that changes a lot. But regardless of what you want to say about Napier, regardless of what you want to say, I will say this. The players love him. The staff loves him. People around town love him. He's approachable. He's personable. He's down to earth.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff we heard a couple weeks ago about him, asking somebody or telling somebody to play through a concussion or asking him his face. I don't know that I believe any of it, man. I really don't. I would really have to have secondary sources to back that up. It just does not seem accurate to me at all. There has to be more to that story. I have a lot of trouble believing some of that stuff out of Odom that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. None of that fits the narrative of anything that we're hearing out of anybody else in or around the program. Maybe there's more to the story. Maybe there's maybe it's not completely false. I'm not trying to call anybody a liar, but like something doesn't smell right about that at all. So just as a side note there.
Correct. And that's the thing, right? Regardless of what's gone on this season, he's still here. Players love him. They love to play for him. And he talks about playing for each other and their levels of accountability and their level of brotherhood and their level of play or their scope of play. Is it up to their standard? Is it up to their personal best? Right? After what this team went through last season, much less what they're going through now, I would think the locker room would be lost. Unequivocally, that locker room should be lost. B, that locker room is far from lost. No. Another head scratcher makes zero sense.
So he called that out earlier in the season. He said this team won't splinter, and he said it with ultimate confidence. He said this room's not going to break. This is a great team. Like he said it like it was a known commodity. And I clearly was right. I'll give him that. Again, the culture stuff around this team is not in question. We've said it time and time again. It continues to prove out. I just don't know why we can't get better play and execution, especially at certain position groups earlier on in the season. I don't understand it. Genuinely, regardless of the outcome and regardless of what happens, I always hope this team is going to play their best week in and week out. Yeah. I don't root for this team to play poorly, ever, regardless of what I think of the coach, regardless of what we've seen. I'm never going to root for that. I bleed orange and blue. We both do. But, man, it is hard to go through what we go through with this coaching staff at the beginning of these seasons. It is very difficult. And I hope it was only the beginning of the season. I hope it stops now. Again, we saw this last year. It got better and better as the season went along. I hope that's what happens from here on out. I don't know that it will. I hope it does. But the culture is there. We've said it for years now. So we'll see. We'll see.
It is. And I know I've mentioned this before to you, B. I don't know if lightning can strike twice, but if it can, it starts with this game because we played This team played the most complementary football it has played in 10 games when you look at offense
Yeah,
and defense and special teams. So, do we take the momentum out of this game? And again, DJ tweaked his calf or tweaked his hammy, probably the calf, whatever. That's fine. He'll get treatment. This is now a good time to introduce Trammell. Duke got banged up a little bit. He's going to be fine. Okay. Do we see KD come back into the fold? We have weapons. It's just a matter of how we are deploying them. And that's probably the most frustrating and exciting thing at the same time.
agreed. Agreed. All right. On to officiating. Quick breakdown for me here. I thought this was a decently officiated game. Thought it was pretty good, actually, overall. I didn't find anything egregious at all that was or wasn't called. As always, I have a couple to discuss because there's always some things we want to look at. I'll call it the catch, right, by the running back for Texas. That ball hit the ground. And I understand that the ball can hit the ground and still be a catch, but my problem was that the nose dipped when it contacted the ground. So he caught it initially, but then he almost looked like he went to re-grip it. And the point of the ball dipped, and it looked like the ground helped him kind of re-secure that catch. So I understand the ruling on the field was a catch, and I knew it wasn't likely that they were going to overturn this. But to me, there was still a strong case for overturning that being the right call because of the motion of the football. Again, the nose started to point down. If he had kept his hands on that and kind of scooped along, right, and held that ball steady, fine. If it scrapes the ground, the ground didn't assist that. He held it steady, but he didn't. The nose dipped and hit the ground, which means the ground inevitably had to help you catch that ball. This is to me where, yes, I understand it's a finer point, but like, man, it's tough, but like, to me, that has to come into play more. And again, I get it probably wasn't going to be overturned, but I could really make a case there for incomplete being the right call on that pass. Tough one. Again, I know it wasn't likely to get overturned because of the call in the field, but it just that one stuck in my craw. I do want to ask you about the fumble by Hansen. Did he possess that ball long enough and really make a football move? I thought it was razor thin margin, right? He grabs it, he turns, he puts a foot in the ground, and the ball is out. Like it was bang, bang as far as whether or not he'd actually finished making that football move, right? Grabbed it, put it in his chest as he was turning, foot hits the ground to run, and balls out. Like it was so close. I'm curious how you saw that as an official. Again, we rely on your perspective here for that. I was very on the fence about that one. I saw a comment in a couple different threads about how Clemson had a call that was called incomplete that was very similar. I couldn't find that replay. I looked for it. I'm not sure what was being referred to there, honestly, because I didn't watch that Clemson game, but I'm just curious. What are your thoughts on the Hampson fumble? You can also obviously give me your thought on the other if you want, but that's up to you. So yeah, those are my two that I thought were very debatable. Both reviewed plays. Glad we reviewed them both. Thank you for actually reviewing them, Birmingham. Appreciate that. Um, but but overall, I thought it was a pretty well officiated game. Thought most of the calls were right. Didn't think anything egregious was missed, unlike last game. But overall, decent. No complaints with the crew overall. Just a couple of replays that I thought were debatable a little bit. What do you got?
Yeah, so a couple points there. As far as the catch, I think it was Wisner. Yeah, it was tough to see, but such
Yeah,
bang bang.
I think it was Wisner. Yeah.
And that's the problem. That's why they write the language the way they write it, right? As far as is it disputable? Can you overturn it? Well, how? How would you prove that you can overturn it besides the footage that's there? There just wasn't enough to overturn it. So that was that. So the Hansen fumble. This is what's tough, right? Because in NCAA football, a a football move, right, indicates a player's gained possession. So the first thing before the move is, did he gain possession of the football? Check.
Yes. Check. He definitely did.
Okay. So we have control of the ball. Okay. Making the loss of the ball a live fumble rather than an incomplete pass. Because it's one thing to say, hey, he didn't really control the football. The football got punched out, but he never had firm possession of it, gained possession, incomplete pass. But because he had firm possession, then he went to go make the move. And then you saw the punch out, regardless if he took one step or two or three steps, he had So I think the biggest thing in this case here, B, is the fact of not just the steps in the football move, was there actual possession and control of the ball. Hayden had possession because after he caught the ball, he moved the ball down into his stomach to do the tuck.
So and that's where the punch out qualifies as the football move?
That qualifies as having control of the ball.
Right, but then you have to make the football move too.
And then he turned and put one foot in the ground, and that was it.
Okay, so you think it was enough? Like you think it was enough separation between because to me it was like the foot hit the ground ball out. Like it was almost the same time that his foot hit the ground that the ball was out, right? So like it was really close. I mean, I think his foot did hit the ground first, but man, it was tight. So you think there was enough between there, if you will, in your perspective?
I was not upset with I was more frustrated that it happened, but yes, not upset with the call because that would have been really tough to overturn, but that was a definite head scratcher.
All right. I defer to you, man. I defer to you. So if you think that football move was established, then I'm going to say it's the right call.
That was really tough because I felt like Hayden was going to secure the ball further because Hayden's got pretty good hands. He's very strong, obviously, at 6'5" and change, 6'6". But
I mean, that was a great punch out. That was a great punch out by the linebacker.
Yeah, I'm not taking
great play by Texas there. Absolutely. Again, this is why all this discreditation that's coming in, probably not a word, from the outside sources that Texas didn't play well or whatever. No, it's a great team. This is a great team. So anyway,
all right. Outside of that, I probably saw 2 holds that were missed on us, just in general possessions, basic holds, going to the outside of the jersey, seeing a jersey grab, a jersey get pulled, a couple that went both ways on Texas, on us, not called, did not affect the play, right, for leverage or advantage. But either way, James Carter, this referee, he's done a good job in the past. The line judge specifically, Chad Lawrence and Victor Sanchez, the other side judge, those two have been some decent guys. And then the field judge out there was a guy named Philip Davenport. They've done a good job overall. One of the better SEC crews that I've seen in recent years. So
all right, so this is the crew. So this is the crew we want. Okay, noted.
Yeah, right.
Good deal. No, I thought it was pretty good overall. I mean, yeah, like I said, a couple things, and they definitely called the pass game a little lighter. Could have called offensive PI on Mosley against Cormani on a play. Could have called it on Dallas Wilson, maybe, though that one I think was actually, as you mentioned, it was more the turf. Contact was made there for sure, but it was within 5 yards, and you're allowed to do that. And then, he definitely tripped after the contact was made. So I agree with you there. I do think that Mosley pushed off Cormani on that one downfield pass that he had, but it wasn't blatant. It wasn't horrific. There was a push off, but it wasn't like anything horrible. Could have been flagged, but the way they were calling the game all night with that, I think it was fine to not flag it. Again, they were consistent, right? So I'm not going to complain, right? I'm not going to complain about consistency ever. So again, thought it was a pretty good call. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Give me your thoughts. Where do we go from here? Where are you at with this?
I'm going to leave it up to head scratcher, and this is what's tough, right? Because, again, a phenomenal win in the swamp. It's always good to win, but it's always better to win in the swamp. Napier's now 21-22. And here we go. Florida West this Saturday, Mississippi State, Georgia.
Nice catch there. I like that.
Yeah. Georgia, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida State. Folks, you got teams in the top right now in the new AP top 25 poll. You have 9 of them in the SEC out of 25. What?
Yeah, it's down one. It was 10.
Right? It was. Wow. here's the thing. It's just amazing to see what the talent dispersion has done this season in college football. Of course, NIL has a lot to do with that, so on and so forth. I don't know where we go from here, B. I don't know how I'd like to think a vote of confidence going into Kyle Field, because we're going into Kyle Field. It's going to be about 7 p.m., about 6 p.m. there, so it's not going to be as dark. I look at the way we went into Death Valley. We went into Death Valley. We outplayed them. Again, the game changer in that game was the interceptions. If we go in to Kyle Field and we have the disposition that we did at Death Valley, minus the interceptions, the defense holds, I would like to think we come out with a win. I just, going to, it's like a box of chocolates, right? Mama Gump was right. We don't know what we're going to get. And that's the problem.
That's how it feels.
Right, with the head scratching and this bipolar team, and it's like, what are we going to get? Why did it take till the bye week? Why did it take this? Why have we not seen this? What is happening here? Why are we not playing complementary football? Why are we waiting now to play complementary football? If all the cylinders click well and everything is fine, this team has limitless potential. A lot of all the things that we said in the preseason. But the fact of the matter is, we have not met those expectations, and hopefully this win on Saturday is a foundational building block to carry us for the rest of the season. And let's hope lightning can strike twice, in reference to what happened when we closed out last season. B.
That's really well said. So my thoughts are that it's hard for me to remember a time when I was this frustrated with a really good win. And that's how I feel. I'm frustrated with a really good win. I'm not happy. I'm not excited. I mean, I was happy that we won, but I'm frustrated is my primary emotion. We beat a very talented team on Saturday. Don't let anybody tell you different. I don't care what anybody says. That is a more talented roster by far, quite frankly, than what we have. Maybe not by far, but it is a more talented roster than what we have. Period. End of story. And we did a lot of things to make that game closer than it needed to be. So that's frustrating. And why did it take till week 5 or game 5, week 6, for us to play like this and see the offense actually show up? Why? I don't have answers to these questions, folks. I don't know. I don't know. None of it makes any sense. None of it's logical. And it continues to be why Napier shouldn't be the coach here. Or at least the offensive play callers Randy mentioned earlier. I'm not backing off that Napier shouldn't be the coach, because he's allowed for these things to happen and deserves to pay for that, and no longer be the coach. But if he is retained, we got to get him out of play calling. It has to happen. We made the case last week when we were talking about coaches and Drinkowitz, and when he gave that up and what his record looks like after and before, right? It has to stop. But moving forward, because it's not going to stop right now, clearly, because this is what got him here. If you saw that press conference, I want to pound my head through a wall. Moving forward, I hope this team can continue to play like this, because of this, of course, is what I want to see. And we don't control any of this stuff, right? We have no control over any of that. So as much as I'd like to have control over it, I would much rather see this team play better and compete week in and week out and win more than what we saw in the first 4 weeks of the season, right? Or 3 out of the 4 weeks, whatever. I mean, really, it was the first 4 weeks, because we were scratching our heads in a lot of ways against LIU too. Just got the result we wanted, but maybe not in some of the ways we did. So I don't know what's going to happen this week. We'll talk keep it or pitch it here. We'll go through. We'll look at it. I'll talk about the Sims, which were not kind to us. We'll get there in a minute. Yeah, that was interesting. But we'll get there in a second. But ultimately, I think when you look at it, it's really hard to know. Can we turn the corner and play better after the bye like we did last year? Can lightning strike twice, as you mentioned? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe this team needs a bye week to figure stuff out because of the way this coaching staff operates. Maybe that's the secret sauce. Again, that's unacceptable to me. That's totally unacceptable, because you're never going to win anything doing that. Right. But maybe that's what they need. And maybe we will play better now. And if we do, maybe we can pull out a win this week. I don't know, because this is a tough team we're about to play. But we'll see. So with that, let's move on. Keep it or pitch it.
Yeah.
I went 1-2 last week. You went 2-1. So you continue to soundly whip me this season. You are 9-6. I am 4-11.
Whoa.
Yikes! It is not good over here in my section of the Keep It or Pitch It ranks, but we'll see if we can get any better on this side of things. So, just to recap from Texas, they ranked third in the nation for rushing defense, allowing 59.8 yards, while Florida ranked 106th in the nation for rushing offense at 123 yards per game. Florida will rush for over 120. We annihilated that at 159. We both kept it. That was the one we both got right. Second was Florida ranks 24 in the nation in scoring defense, averaging 16 points per game. Texas ranks 56th in scoring offense at 31.8. Gators will hold Texas to under 24 points in the Swamp. I pitched it. You kept it. You got it right. I got it wrong at, of course, 21. And last but not least, the one we both missed, Texas ranked 102nd in third down conversion. We should have seen that as being a problem. 35.8%, while the Gators ranks tied for 36 in third down defense, allowing 32.8%. Gators will win third down battle, holding Texas to under 34% conversion. We both pitched it. I did say I thought it'd be close. It was 33, and we both got that wrong. I just had the wrong side of close. So, on to Florida West. Let's get going here. Florida West was number 5 in the nation at third down defense coming into this game, or is number 5 in the nation at 22.4% allowed. That's pretty good. Florida is number 113. These should be indicators in the nation at converting 34.8% of their third downs. Florida will convert at least 37% of their third downs in this game. So above our average and way above what they're allowing, but still not any really high number, 37%. Keep it or pitch it.
Yeah, vacillator on this one, back and forth. Are we going to show up? Are we going to have momentum? I played with the numbers, right? 1 out of 3, 3 out of 9. That's still 33. Is that good enough to win the game? I don't think so. To win the game, we need to be above 37. We need to get to 40. So I'm going to keep it, B.
You're going to keep it. I'm going to pitch it. I don't think we quite get there. I do think it's close. Once again, hopefully I'm on the right side of close this time. But I think we're maybe 35, 36, something in that neighborhood. I don't think we quite get there. It's a tough team, good defense. Elko knows how to dial this stuff up. It'll depend on how we run the ball and how many third and manageables we have, but I don't think we get there. All right. Number 2, Florida West is number 37 in the nation, averaging 195.4 rush yards per game. But Florida is number 26 in the nation in rushing yards allowed at 99.4. The Florida defense will hold Florida West to 135 yards rushing or less in this game. Keep it or pitch it. Tough number there.
Very tough number. I think the defensive line is up for the challenge. You saw what they did to Texas. You saw what they did to try to contain Miami, regardless of what happened. Robert, Big Papa Ron, as you mentioned, he's going to get them ready. They're going to have a great scheme. I'm going to keep it.
Yeah, I'm keeping it also. The way this D has been playing against the run in general, I know Miami was kind of the exception there, but I like this D line. I love this D line, actually, and the way that they're playing, and especially the linebackers. It's a good offensive line we're up against, but I think we can hold the task here. I think we can keep them under that number. Again, I think it'll be close, but I think we can hold them well under their average and keep them right around that 120, 130 number. Be close to it, but I think we can do it. The one thing that gives me pause here is Marcel Reed. He could potentially mess this number up. So we'll have to keep him contained and see what we do there. But he could be the one that could mess that number up if he gets a bunch of yards out of the backfield. But we'll see what happens. All right.
Right.
Last but not least, Florida West is number 42 in the nation in scoring offense, averaging 34.8 points per game. Florida, though, as you mentioned, is 26th in the nation in scoring defense, and this counts the touchdown that LSU scored on defense, by the way, at 17 points per game. So really, they're better than that. Florida defense will hold Florida West under 26 points on Saturday. We will have to do this to win, in my opinion. What do you think the answer to this one is, sir?
Defense coming off a big win, great performance. Yes, I know we talked about complimentary football, but it starts with the defense. It starts in the trenches. They should have learned a lot from what Marcel Reed did last year. And to my knowledge, looking at the way Florida West has started the season, defenses have figured them out a little bit. They're running the same schemes, the same sets. So on that basis, I am going to roll the dice, 3 for 3, keep it.
Wow. So you think we're winning this football game is what you're telling me. I do not think we're winning this game. I'm pitching this one. Unfortunately, I still am keeping with our prediction. I think Marcel Reed's improved as a passer. He's still got some accuracy issues, but I watched some game film earlier against Auburn. I think he's much more accurate than he was last year. I think with the amount of zone we play, I think he's going to find some holes in that. He looked pretty good at doing that against Auburn. I think that he is going to be able to pick us apart a little bit more than we would like in the passing game. I do think we keep him contained running. That's why I'm picking the running number to keep, but I think they do score more than this. It's not a lot more. I don't know if they hit their season average, but I think it's somewhere around 30, and I am pitching it. So we will see if I can equalize any of this. Listen, I hope you're right. I hope I continue to get my butt kicked and we win this game. I'm all for that, but I don't think we do. I'm not a believer yet in this one. Again, this for me was the worst matchup of the season. This was my kind of guaranteed loss on the calendar. I hope you're right, man. I hope we win it. I really do. The team's talented enough to do it, but we'll see. All right, quickly to the Sims notes. 3-7. 3-7 we went in the Sims. Yikes. When we went 3-7 last year, this wasn't good. I don't even know if we went 3-7 against anybody. This is really bad. Again, the Sims have not been accurate at predicting outcomes. Again, they got it right last week. I think it was the first time. Miami was 5-5, so they coin flipped that. Everything else they predicted us to win, and we've lost, or except LIU. So I'm not putting a lot of stake in this, but again, since I've changed those settings, it has seemingly been more accurate. So Rutro, it doesn't look good. I said I didn't like this matchup. We said we didn't like this matchup. The game doesn't either. Interesting, though, because we only averaged 23.5 points per game, despite averaging just under 400 yards. On the flip side, Florida West averaged 35.4 yards per game, averaging 440 yards of total offense. Not sure where about 40 yards of offense equals 12 more points per game, but there you go. So a little confusing there in the stats. So maybe there's still something amiss. I don't know. We'll see what happens, obviously. However, the key stat that we're looking for, according to the game, it was DJ passing for more than 350. I think that's a bit on the high side. I would say let's look for over 300 passing, but him having a great passing game, high efficiency, low turnover, right, that type of thing, is going to be what I think your key is. It didn't seem to matter how much they ran it, we ran it, any of that, but our passing yards being very high in comparison to season average is what determined the win. Anytime we were over 350, we won. If we were below, we lost, period. That was the only stat that did not have a variance to it in the wins and losses, right? I looked at third down, I looked at time of possession, I looked at rushing yards, looked at points, everything. None of it had variance other than or had a fixed outcome other than over 350. Again, I don't think 350 is needed. Maybe it's a little more than 300, maybe it's 315, maybe it's 320 even, but Lagway's going to have to light them up is what I would say is the story of the game here. So yeah, let's keep an eye on that. So far, that key stat's been wrong almost every game, so maybe it doesn't matter at all. We won last week without hitting that key stat at all, so We'll see. We'll see what happens. I will tell you, their average points per game of 35.4 above their season average with this defense against them. I don't see that. So again, I don't know what NCAA is thinking here. I think they've got some stuff that's still off in the algo, but I don't know. Maybe they're right. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's tough to say that this segment has lost some of its juice this year. Quite frankly, I'm not going to drop it yet because we'll see if it continues to figure things out as the season goes along. But if it continues to kind of miss, we may drop it for next season. We'll see. Yeah. All right. With that, I think it's time to wrap things up. I'll turn it over to you to tie everything up and sign us off there.
Copy that. So yeah, great pod, B. Great going over this win with you. It was therapy on the good side, outside of the head scratching, of course.
Yes, yes. Nice to have some positives for sure.
Exactly. So, of course, our Gators face Florida West this Saturday. Stay tuned after the game for our rapid reaction, our first bites after that game. And then, of course, 2 days later, Monday the 13th, our regular cadence with the breakdown and analysis of Florida versus Florida West. So wherever you are, whenever you may be listening, thank you for taking the time, and we'll see you around, Gator Nation.